The sign of a perfect villain is one that isn't truly a villain. What does that mean? Well, Otto Apocalypse is a perfect example of this. Though he has selfish and what would seem intrinsically bad for motives, also benefits the world in huge ways too, showing that it's not this linear version of good or evil, but rather this gray area where he resides, painting himself as being this harbinger of evil while doing so much as well. I am so freaking excited for us to check out his chronicles. Oh my god. It just released today, and though I already uploaded a video this morning, I'm gonna do another one because this needs to be I need to see this. As somebody who's been a fan of Otto since like day one, seeing his development, seeing his journey, seeing him play the world in the palm of his hand. So let's get into it. Hey, before we get started, make sure to hit the subscribe button. We're so close to 13,000 subscribers, and it would just mean the world to me to keep growing together. I post Honkai Impact and Genshin Impact content daily, every single day, sometimes twice a day, like today. So I hope you stick around the channel. That way you'll never get bored, because sometimes, you know, when you run out of content to watch on YouTube, I always got a bunch of videos out, so you'll never get bored. Anyways, let's get into it. Alright, gamers, it is time! Give us some Otto Apocalypse! Yeah! Hoyaverse!
Life is but a walking shadow, a clumsy actor gesturing on the stage, who only appears briefly and steps off in silence.
I love the idea of creating him to be like, of painting the picture of him being a jester, right? Because it's like, oh, this fool. And like a lot of the community was like, oh, he's a simp, he's a fool, he's so down bad. And it's like, that's the perfect portrayal, is to think that he is like this linear man, when in reality, he's such a complex individual. I love that about him. And I talked about this before, where it's he doesn't lie to people, which is something that's so beautiful. He withholds information. And I talked about that throughout the entire time of playing Honkai Impact, is the best villains are those who have a moral code. The best, not even villains, antagonists in general, right? Anyone who goes against you. And we see that in amazing antagonists like Handsome Jack. We see that in amazing antagonists like, technically, Virgil in Devil May Cry. Technically, you know, Homie becomes an antagonist. And does that make them good or does that make them evil? And it's all based on perspective and relativism. And Otto Apocalypse is a beautiful example of that. He's just one of my favorite characters ever. And I think the idea of like, oh, painting him as the fool is also brilliant, because it's always said that the jester is the smartest man in the room because he's the least expected, right? Like it's a quote. So it's like the jester is always so neglected and always never like, in the normal conventional circumstances, right? In normal like thought processes, is that the jester is the most cunning individual because they're able to observe while playing the fool, thus gaining the most information and creating plans throughout. Mind you, Otto was not the conventional sense of a jester, but rather playing the fool as if he were a linear individual with very clear selfish motives, versus being this complex character that has many drives and ambitions to himself that are not just about his own interests and gains, but rather as a collective, though his will take always priority.
Otto Apocalypse, the most pathetic fool alive. He is the revered Schicksal Overseer. He is a corrupt, bigoted clown. Over centuries, he once sacrificed lives beyond count for his selfish desires.
I love him so much.
Also overthrew a decadent reign with people's support. He treated humans as pawns and trampled the value of emotion and life, but treasured Valkyries at the front line and prayed for their triumphant return. Commitment and betrayal, friend and foe, truth and lies. No one has ever seen through him, but to Otto himself, his actions only served one purpose. It all began in an afternoon 500 years ago.
I love the idea that they're like talking about all of like his juxtapositions and personality. It's beautiful that it all begins and ends with him, right? Where he's a man of contradictions, and I just my heart, it's to think that this sickly boy, right, who was rejected by his family, basically, who was seen as the outcast, as the weakest link, can be a man of such strength and power is I love it. I love it. Using his intellect as a weapon.
Though Otto was born in the three houses, he was frail and sickly. He could only craft whimsical inventions, which naturally deprived him of inheritance. His older brothers detested his effort at self-destruction, but no one noticed his inner needs and desires.
Until
It
Colin!
was then that a white-haired, blue-eyed girl brightened Otto's cold and dull heart like a ray of sunshine. She praised Otto's work sincerely, expected great inventions from him, and invited him to save the world with her. For the first time in his life, young Otto felt recognized. He could be expected. He could be needed. Since that faraway afternoon, everything he did
God,
gained meaning because of her validation. But the twisted fate would not spare them. The rampant plague and the failed crusade tore the prosperity they lived in apart. Power and force were the perfect fuel for...
I'm sorry. I'm just a really big softie, and I love love. Oh. Sorry. Okay, I'm good. I'm a helpless romantic. I cry easily at people being in love. It makes me happy. And then this one is just not even a happy ending. Okay, I'm good. I'm good.
Turning
This is
a
fine.
shaky faith into the breeding ground for degeneracy. In the turmoil, the lives of the two reached a turning point. Fearing abandonment, Otto chose to disregard ethics and performed experiments on dying patients. He sought findings at all costs. Callan, who could not condone his crime, became a raven at night to spread hope and enact the justice in her heart.
Whoa, 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 whoa. That is a very condensed version of what happened. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, hold on. Otto cured the plague. Yeah, he experimented on people, but he did cure it. Killing off some people for that reason is not a big deal. Let's be real here for a second. They're gonna die regardless. The only issue with what he did is that he took it one step too far because of his father, right? Because he continued to experiment after already creating the cure, right? He went, and then that's when it started to get like out of hand. We started to get real crazy with it, right? The dark arts started to come into play. Like that's where the contention is. Risking lives to save people from miraculous recoveries, like that should not be insult to injury here. But yeah, and also like Colin doing what she did is like this beautiful, like he even helped her for a part of this. This was not like Colin did this in spite of him or something. Like, dude, there's a reason why he cross-dressed in a part. He was distracting guards as our flawless beauty. She like went into these dudes' house. She played Robin Hood. She robbed them, dude. And like, what? I don't know. I feel like that's like a really strange way to, like a strange, overly condensed version of what happened. Like, it doesn't pay enough credit to Colin or to Otto saying it that.
But lies were lies. After many operations, Callan discovered the secrets of the human experiments.
True. Yep.
And Otto exposed himself at the last minute. Before the infinite greed of Schicksal, individual will was nothing. Callan was imprisoned. The cold bars separated the two that were once childhood friends, yet their minds had already drifted further apart. To Callan, the dignity of life was what she had sworn to defend. To Otto, morality and ethics were only prices to be paid. A loud slap and a conflict of beliefs sent them on completely different paths. Otto knew that in no way could he stop Callan. He accepted it and helped her escape in silence. after everything.
One thing to mention out of that too was that in game we actually get to see that Colin regretted leaving, and not having a final conversation with Otto. And which chapter was that? It was for a brief moment. Someone in the comments, you might remember which chapter it was, but it was when she escaped to the east and she had like this moment for herself, and it was such a beautifully written part too, where it showed that her love back towards him, and the regret of not having a final conversation, just like how Otto regretted being such a coward. Like they both left with regrets, like left each other, I guess, with regrets because she left, but to go east.
Otto was given the key to the library. Although Void Archives used the index permission as a bait in an attempt to possess Otto, Otto did not fall for it. He developed technology with pieces of knowledge.
Oh, really quick for Void Archives, because they kind of skipped that part from the manga, is that they just kind of told you that he has it. For those of you guys who might not have read it, basically, Otto releases Void Archives, makes basically a deal with the motherfucking devil, baby. But yeah, so basically, he actually tries to resurrect Colin's father. Colin's father died protecting them, and he tries to resurrect Colin's father, and Colin gets pissed. Colin gets so mad. This is when they're kids, though. This is when they're still kids, and they talk about like, the value of life and stuff, and like that's not the way it should be. And like he learns about like the Kaslana's like line of respect and stuff too, and just a very emotional scene. And yeah, and like even later on, when we get to see like adult Otto in game, during chapter 27, I believe, is when they're having their walk. Void Archives is like, I tried to trick you your entire life, man. What the hell did Colin do to make it so... Oh no, no, your sister. What did your sister do to make it so easy? I'm so jealous of her because she got to trick you, but I couldn't. Yeah, so Void Archives always fails to trick Otto, which is kind of a cool thing to mention here.
And thus a game that would last centuries began. In the days that followed, Otto searched for Callan while continuing his research and experiments.
The letter!
When he heard Callan was in danger in Yai village, he immediately had Oath of Judah delivered, but not the response letter that spoke his loving heart. Meanwhile, Callan sealed the Hersher of Corruption in the black box with Oath of Judah, but was severely wounded. She was taken back to Europe by Schicksal for a trial. Callan was faithful and refused to sacrifice for family feuds, and thus was sentenced to hanging. Otto tried everything he could, but it was futile before the church's will. On the day of execution, the desperate Otto released Honkai Beast on the execution ground. He planned to take Callan amid the chaos, but he underestimated Callan's resolve. In the end, Callan lost her life when protecting the people.
I genuinely forgot about this part when I was watching The Spoke Apocalypse. Like if you guys go watch my reaction, I genuinely forgot that this is how she died. So I was like so thrown off because I remember her going to the hanging. My brain was so set on her being like that she died at her hanging. I forgot how she died at her hanging, which is my mistake for my The Spoke Apocalypse reaction.
Losing the love of his life painted Otto's world gray again. Resentful, he chased after Callan's shadow. He tried to give this sad story a happy ending as she would have wanted. He sounded the horn of revolution with his wisdom and cleansed the remaining evil with his hands. People sang his accomplishments and soldiers admired his resourcefulness. As cheers of victory echoed through the silent church, Otto could not help but ask himself if this was enough. In the centuries that followed, the hole inside Otto was still agape. The only way to mend it was to revive the love of his life and the holy maid of the people, Callan Kaslana.
I'm going to talk about something, and it's a little depressing. So if you don't feel like getting sad, skip 2 minutes into the video. Okay, skip 2 minutes from now. I don't know what timestamp we're at, but it's approaching 1 year since one of my best friends died, and I've talked about this a bit before, and cry during this. I will talk about this clearly. Okay, let's do it. There's a lot of regret when you love people. A lot of regret when they die. And in Otto's case, it is such an extreme version of regret. Because technically his role played a part in her death. And I think people underestimate when the type of connection you have to people when they die. And when you lose a family member, when you lose someone to an illness or in an accident, things like that, where it's more chaotic or more out of your control, it's one thing. But when you lose somebody and it's almost within your grasp, like there's opportunities to change the outcome, it doesn't feel resolved. And it never feels resolved. Which is why it's like, oh, it's 500 years, get over it, dude. I know there's a lot of people who used to say that all the time while I was playing, and it's nothing like that. It's just not. And it's so stupid and naive to perceive that, like, time heals, like, that time heals all wounds. That's stupid saying, because it doesn't. It doesn't. Things hurt. Some things hurt forever. Some things will just continue to hurt for the rest of your life. And that's just how it is. And to say that, like, oh, you need to move on is the dumbest concept. Like, I don't... It's... it makes me so mad. Because if you're telling people to move on, you're telling them, like, oh, that person's life had like that little value that you should just continue to do your own life, right? To live your own life. And I agree with like living your own life and being like happy and proud and doing things with yourself, but I don't agree with just moving on from the person. That person means something. Their death means something. And the way that Otto carried his life after makes sense. And to pine over someone for 500 years doesn't feel wrong. It doesn't feel wrong to me to care and to love people that way, whether it be romantic or not. There's vacancies of people who care about us and who put so much into us and root for us. Having a friend who invested his time and his efforts to make me feel confident and secure in what I did was a true blessing. And it reminds me a little bit of like how, like, you know, when Otto felt like sickly and felt like, and he was a little inventor boy. It was finally noticed. Like, my friend gave me that. I had people who doubted me so much in my career. For those of you who don't know, I am an esports commentator, and when I first started out, the people were just really hostile towards me for one, being female, and two, being a person of color. It was just hard, and I constantly felt like put down. And it was so much thanks to, but there's also amazing members of that community. There's like so many people who rooted for me, and obviously that's the reason why I rose to the success that I did. But the only way I could even make that level of success and to even make it where I did was because of him. Because he sat with me for hours and like each day he would get up and we would grind out the game until I became better, till I learned more. And if it wasn't for that, I would never have accomplished what I did in my time. And my life wouldn't be what it is today without him. And that's just the reality of it. So I hate it. I despise it when anybody says that, like, oh, it's been 500 years, get over it. Because it's so stupid to compare someone who shifted your life and changed everything to equate how you might handle things, because everyone handles things differently. I was a little bit raw there, sorry. It's just, oh, that irked me so much for so long.
In 1496, Otto had no choice but to travel to Shenzhou in search of the legendary Master Phoenix for a chance to revive Callan. He met the fledgling swordswoman Li Sushang and found the reborn Fu Hua. But to his surprise, even an immortal celestial had regrets and could not bring back departed souls. In the end, Otto and Fu Hua made a pact. Schicksal would protect Shenzhou in the powerless Fu Hua's place, and Fu Hua would serve Schicksal as a Valkyrie.
Mm-hmm.
In 1952, the first Honkai eruption broke out. Schicksal captured the amnesiac first Herrscher
Oh.
and performed 3 years worth of serial experiments on him, which yielded nothing. Otto even approached him in person to persuade him into succeeding to the Schicksal Overseer, but failed. To eliminate risks, Otto decided to wipe out the North American branch that was about to discover Schicksal's ugly truth. He launched Honkai fission missiles at New York, where tens of millions lived. Heroes defending freedom and justice stepped forward and crushed Otto's scheme at the cost of their lives. This led to the independence of anti-entropy.
I have a question. For the like, I don't remember this. I don't know why I think my information in my head's just mixed up. So if someone could let me know in the comments, what about the Berlin incident? Am I thinking of the wrong thing? If someone could let me know, I just think I have information mixed up in my head, so I'd appreciate the clarification.
This failure taught Otto to take hold of the power to retaliate Honkai, which led to the Clone Project and the Artificial Stigma Project. In 1972, Otto began running forbidden clone experiments in the hope of reviving Callan, but the results were not satisfactory.
Teresa!
After injecting the cells of Honkai Beast Vishnu, the first living batch of Callan clones was born. Otto made them fight one another to death at the end of the survival test. Only the individual numbered A310 rejected this absurd order. Her kindness in valuing life and her courage to defy her maker shocked Otto. He took A310 into his family and named her Teresa Apocalypse.
Terry!
Meanwhile, Otto established the Tower of Babylon laboratory to study artificial stigmata.
Oh,
Countless
Bella and
gifted children
Siren.
were taken from their parents and subjected to inhumane experiments day and night.
Oh, don't show
Insurmountable
Siren!
and hatred against humanity nourished these Honkai vessels. At last, Siren, the second Herrscher, was born. Otto mustered Valkyrie troops to subdue the Herrscher, dived into her sentience with the help of Fuhua, and received revelation from the will of Honkai. After many great sacrifices were made, Otto gave the order to launch Honkai fission missiles at Siberia to bury the truth
Siegfried
deep
and
beneath
Cecilia.
the scorched snowfield. Otto's resurrection project gradually took shape due to the guidance from above. For several years, Otto tried to create the most promising clone with Kiana Kaslana and Siren's genes for the second Herrscher to possess upon return. He transplanted the core of the second Herrscher to the test subject numbered K423. The longing for Cecilia gave her life. After being taken to Saint Freya by Himeko, the love she felt and the bonds she made helped her learn to love this world and those around her. Watching Kiana move along the path he designed, Otto knew when she began to believe she would never be alone was when he could advance the plan.
Which is just so brilliant, honestly. That is so smart. Make her snap, dude. Like, make sure she has the most to lose, and that's the perfect time to break a person.
In the illusory
Goddamn.
Tower of Babylon, the girl's despair and longing for motherly love facilitated the Herrscher persona's awakening. Fuhua took her back to Schicksal. The experiment pod confined her once again. Facing the pod, Otto's eyes only showed a hunger for the Herrscher of the Void's power. As Otto injected enormous Honkai energy into K423, Herrscher of the Void returned. Otto saved the dying Fuhua and told her his plan. Looking into Fuhua's furious eyes, Otto paused for a short yet long moment and pulled the trigger.
Bang!
Everything went according to his plan. Himeko burned up herself to tear
Jesus
through
fuck,
Siren's
man.
will.
Sorry. I'm sorry. That was so sudden. That was so sudden. Like, they showed a little bit of Shattered Samsara with, like, the little Fuhua shot thing. I did not see dead Himeko coming up, man. You gotta, like, brace me, man. Brace me. Jesus. God damn.
Kiana's sentience returned to the body of the Herrscher. To obtain a Hersher of the Void who could command the power with human will, Otto trampled emotions and disregarded lives. Otto believed that love and emotional bonds could evoke miracles, but he never respected nor honored them. So far, Callan's revival was only missing a key: Cosmic Juggernaut's beacon. Previously, to reach the imaginary tree that governed how worlds worked, Schicksal cracked the legend of King Arthur and found the Key of Infinity that offered space travel in the River Thames, but it was incomplete. Durandal passed Pioneer Sue's test by chance and received information and experience as numerous as sand grains in the Ganges. To complete Cosmic Juggernaut, Otto struck a deal with World Serpent's leader. He traded Void Archives for Cosmic Juggernaut's beacon. When the Hersher of Dominance and Hyperion were locked in battle, he took the Theater of Domination and thousands of cores in secret. At last, the fully prepared Otto returned to the beginning. Kolistan, where Schicksal's blood and tears were buried. It would become the end of his long journey. On the other side of the stage, Valkyries had readied themselves as well.
Gotta have
Teresa
chills.
would succeed as the Schicksal overseer and lead the newborn Schicksal toward a bright future. Bronya would shoulder the weight of the Welt name, for the Hersher of Reason's path had stretched to her. Fuhua concluded a feud that spanned centuries. So she could
God, I have
embrace
chills.
yesterday as a human
Oh, it was
and
so
open the
incredible.
door
That was
to
such an
tomorrow.
incredible arc. Oh.
Kiana broke free from the shackles of fate and created a trail of flames that would guide them forward with her friends. Durandal broke through the barrier of Kaslana and earned a new heritage that only belonged to her.
That's right. That's right. You did,
Valkyries
Queen.
were eager to settle accounts with Otto. Indeed, they won. Their crushing victory was a heavy blow to Otto. What they did not know was that their growth, their resolve, and even the joy of winning were also part of Otto's plan.
Yep.
What he planned for in the past 500 years was but a bargaining chip to attain death and a new life. After being defeated by Valkyries, Otto broke free from Imaginary's control momentarily. He imbued the world's wedge with all the false god's power to create infinite possibilities for Callan. As Otto left his last message,
God damn it, I'm crying.
his sentience finally dissipated in the still time-space.
I'm sorry.
To different people, Otto perhaps means different things. But to Otto himself, all rights and wrongs are transient. He has attained eternal peace. His life as a fool is finally over.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm crying too hard to talk about this. I can't. I'm crying too hard. I'm trying to talk, but I can't. Oh no. Dude, Honkai needs to stop breaking me. I already finished the chapter. This is what happens when I play it too soon. Okay. No, I'm gonna keep crying. That's okay. I'm gonna just end the video. We'll have a talk about Otto some other time, man. I can't. I can't. Yep. you know, I'll make a video about Otto and stuff at some point. I just can't do it yet because I am a baby and I keep crying and I'm such a crybaby and it shows. Okay, thanks for watching. I appreciate you. I'm gonna go drink some water because my mouth is dry. And I'm gonna go wash my face because I'm crying too much. Cool. I appreciate you. Thanks so much for watching. I think I'm gonna post some more Honkai videos tomorrow. Because I haven't seen the 5.5 PV yet. Sorry. And I'm gonna post some more Genshin videos later in the week, so I hope you guys stay tuned for that. And yep, that's cool. I'm gonna go now. And thanks for watching. I'm sorry, it's such a terrible way to end a video, but I'm crying too hard to be able to talk about anything useful. So we're gonna just brain check it. Sound good? Thanks for watching. Bye.